What a roller coaster of emotions that was. Brendan Rodgers Celtic are through to the Scottish Cup final. Thankfully, after extra time, after penalties, after sudden death penalties. When it was all said and done, thankfully Celtic have qualified and got themselves through to the final, but it was not as easy as that. Earlier this week on the channel, I was saying my score prediction for the game was going to be 4-2. I thought Aberdeen were going to come into this game with absolutely nothing to lose. This is their cup final, and they were going to make it extremely hard work for us, and that is really how the way the game shook out for the most part. In the video today, we're going to look at exactly why the game was so difficult for Celtic, what Aberdeen did well, as well as, of course, a kind of rough analysis on everything that Celtic were doing in this game, of course. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers before the end of the season, guys, and we cannot do that without your support. So for more content like this, the subscribe button, and get into the comment section and let me know what your big takeaway was, what your thoughts and feelings are after the semi-final. And yeah, hail, hail. Let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, I, for one, was rather surprised to see Yang retain his space on the left wing, as well as McGregor coming back in from the start here. We've had such a good balance in the midfield, and with Palma coming back to being fit, we were talking on the podcast earlier this week about, Palma's generally been a good player to turn up in big moments for Celtic, as we've seen in his career. And I just thought that might have been the starting 11. But a little bit of a surprise to see the changes. Aberdeen really came into this game absolutely full strength. And when you see them play this starting 11, and you've also seen the match and seen the effort and how good they were in some aspects of the game, it is a real mystery why they've not got going this year. But they came into this game firmly knowing their strengths and Celtic's weaknesses and what they were going to try and do to get themselves some sort of route into the game. And Aberdeen wasted absolutely no time at all trying to put a lot of extra pressure on our left-hand side. And they wasted absolutely no time at all trying to watch out for Celtic when, we're trying to build possession. We're passing the ball around from left to right. We're trying to get Taylor tucked into midfield. We're getting Rio falling into little pockets to try and pick up the ball. And as soon as they sniffed there was an opportunity and they turned the ball over very quickly, you feel the difference between having McGregor in that defensive midfield role versus Iwata, because McGregor, the ball just skips by him, men are going past him, and Miovski finds himself running against the back two here, and he manages to roll himself, of course, one-on-one with the goalkeeper and give Aberdeen the first goal of the game, which is a huge sliding doors moment in the match, and there was plenty of them to come in this one. But that kind of took the tempo, took the control away from us in the sense of the game state of the match, because as much as Aberdeen were still defending and being, compact and narrow and looking at counter-attack on us, with McGrath kind of starting out on the left-hand side here. Later, he would kind of swap with Clarkson and he would be a bit more kind of in central, using his strength and whatever. And Duke on Taylor was just all the way through. Because at any moment, when they're 1-0 up, if we lose the ball and they do the same thing again, they go 2-0 up, the game is then totally, out of your control. So the game state does kind of favour Aberdeen for portions of this match. And we've seen some really good football come in this period here. Celtic did start to get their rhythm going, where we're moving the ball around the central areas and where we're getting the ball out to Kuhn very, very well in lovely 1v1 situations. I think you've seen the best attributes from Nicholas Kuhn in this match when he is one-on-one with a defender. He can buy himself some space, and he's got a very consistent delivery. That chipped ball, it kind of fell on, it kind of went a waste when you've only got Kyogo. Yang got himself on a couple of crosses, and unfortunately he just mistimed one or two of them. But Kuhn was a great outlet on the right-hand side here, and eventually when the goal does come from him after Kyogo one-on-one with the goalkeeper, does well to really press his man and get the shot away. But Kuhn, obviously, with a bit of the tap in, he gets his goal, and he's the semi-final hero after taking a bit of a bash to the nose as well. Coming down this right-hand side for Kuhn was really the only outlet we had in the first half. McGregor did actually get into the final third once or twice, and I felt he maybe had a bit of pressure on his shoulders after the goal went in to actually impact the game a little bit higher up the pitch, and it was good to see that extra energy and endeavour from him. But as the game wears on, we are really struggling to actually make our possession count. The amount of actual shots on goal we had in the early, just how long the actual match was on, probably like the first hour or so, was far too small. In a game like this, especially with how big the pitch is at Hampden and where our weapons are, Kyogo, O'Reilly, Hatate, these guys coming into the central area here, they're wanting balls that they can actually win delivered from out wide. And Nicholas Kuhn's efforts, come in once in a while. Yang didn't get anything off, but what we were missing was this run from Alistair Johnson, getting into the box, getting into the byline, and be able to just make things happen. It was a lot easier to do that in the second half because Aberdeen themselves kind of out of possession, kind of drop into a back five, with Barron dropping into the back four, and then McGrath and Polvara were just being really active pressers, trying to, turn the ball over, cause some problems. And with Clarkson and Duke, they had real outlets to try and play with Miovski if the ball was on the left or on the right. But because they went to that back five with this kind of box midfield, we just got so much more space to let Johnson come up and be more effectual. And that's when I think the manager kind of identifies this and makes a change. We see Iwata and Forrest coming on, and you do feel that we have a lot of space and some dangerous areas in the final third. James Forrest gets one goal from coming in on the left-hand side here, but he could have easily had a hat-trick with some of the opportunities he had, because now Aberdeen just dropping into that back five, it got smaller and it got narrower. Duke ran out of energy. Clarkson had to come deeper and deeper, so did Miofsky. And Forrest, as I say, had 2 or 3 nice chances, but we're getting Johnson into the box. But coming into this game, I thought the bench was going to be the difference, and it was going to actually edge Celtic far and away, give us some distance from Aberdeen if this game was going to be difficult. And as the subs came on, I was highly expecting that Adam Ida was going to contribute as much as we'd seen James Forrest from the bench. But it was actually the Aberdeen subs. When we see Stockler and Hoylett both come on between the 70th and the 80th minute, they gave them extra energy and actually a decent level of quality between both of them to keep this constant threat with only 1 goal in the game, that if we didn't take our chances and if the ball did turn over, these guys would take their chances and, hurt us. Hoyle was going to have a big say as a substitute of how this second half was going to actually finish. He missed a chance to be the match winner himself with some glaring opportunities going to miss. But Stalker coming in from Polvara and being that extra pressing midfielder, he was also going to be a real handful to contain. And really, it doesn't take long, I don't think, for Brendan to kind of see the difference that these subs have made. They've gave Aberdeen a bit more strength and a bit more energy in the key area where everyone's looking to capitalise on possession, and losing the ball is so dangerous for us. I do think Bernardo and Palma coming on here was the right moves to make and really did help. We should have been scoring goals at this period of the match as well. Adam Ida with chances going a begging. But sadly, I think Aberdeen's second goal, quite similar to the first, is down to individual error, an individual player just not being ready for the situation or making the right decision in it. And Luis Palma trying to play the counter-attack ball rather feebly to either Ida, or I think it might have been Bernardo that was breaking away. We lose possession, the ball comes in from the left-hand side, and Sockler gets his goal to make it 2 each on the 90th minute. It's an absolute sucker punch with Junior Hoylett swinging the ball in, of course, from the left-hand side. And you've seen his celebration. He really felt like he got himself off the hook with that one, taking us into extra time. And the first half of extra time was very much a copy and paste effort from the majority of this game anyway. You really did feel that a lot of the energy levels in the players were starting to sink. And with Celtic only having their 1 extra time substitute remaining and not much to call upon from the bench, there was not much reinforcements to be had at this stage of the game. Aberdeen but were able to make 2 extra time substitutes, and however influential that was in the way the second half went, your guess is as good as mine. And James Forrest, who was very close to being the hero of the day, the match winner on the day, gets substituted off right at the end for Big and the Rocky, as we feel that Aberdeen are just throwing the ball long and just really throwing, the kitchen sink at it. And, that kind of move, it normally does backfire on you, and I do think it does. Scales gets caught under the ball, the man peels off a Taylor, and, it's 3 each in the 119th minute. And now that we've got a back 5 on the pitch, with Iwata in front of it, we don't have that many actual attackers left on the pitch, much time on the clock to even go ahead and try and win the game anyway, which was tried, obviously. And then when it does eventually come to penalties, the first thing everyone was asking me is, who's the 5th penalty taker? Because I think the first 4 were kind of obvious. And my first thought, I had a wee tweet about it with Joe Hart's birthday being on the Saturday, I thought, give pen number 5 to Joe. That's definitely the way to go with this one. And, when I seen him stepping up to take it, I was like, oh my God. Unfortunately, the big man misses it and ends up saving the sudden death penalty to be the cup semi-final hero. And you can see the relief pouring off him at the full-time whistle there. So overall, it's a victory. We just about get through. There's some cup heroics from the goalkeeper maybe towards at the end. But from start to finish, this game had drama. From a footballing perspective, it was very entertaining to watch. And I do think that anyone can be happy of the performances overall. I say, sadly, I do feel all 3 goals, Scales doesn't get off the ground for the last ones. You're always going to hope that your defender is going to try and meet the ball in the air. All 3 goals can really be isolated down to an individual's error. And sometimes, as harsh as it sounds, that's just the way football is analysed. The only other kind of contentious point of this one was the whole Carter Vickers injury thing, or maybe even the Scales handball. The Scales handball thing, if it's not in the box, it's not in the box, I suppose, but I was worried about that one. I do think it is a wee bit contentious, but when it is like a flick onto the arm, I do think that was a rule that was contended with or spoken about recently. Maybe you can get into the comment section on that one and let me know. And with Carter Vickers, I said this recently because it went for us. I think we got a penalty for this kind of thing, but it is my pet peeve in football to see like player is going to pass the ball, clear the ball, shoot, do something like that, and someone else just nicks in and gets absolutely whacked as a consequence. I hate seeing these things given as penalties. Yeah, maybe sometimes it might be given as a foul or whatever. I can imagine sometimes refs will do that in the middle of the pitch, but for me, like, you can't possibly be given that as a foul if another player is taking the risk upon themselves to go and interfere with an action that's absolutely happening. Then again, it's not a foul if you're in possession. You know, it's my pet peeve in football whenever these things do get given, and I'm very glad it wasn't given against us. Don't get me wrong, if Carter Vickers isn't already in like possession of the ball and he's not striking to clear it, and it's just like you can see both of them are both lunging for it, and he just absolutely wipes the guy out because of it in the same kind of move, then it's a totally different story. But he's only got eyes for the ball, he's going to clear it, and you know, the other guy comes in and gets whacked in the process. So for me, these things are never a penalty. And I've been quite consistent on that. But it's one game at a time now for Celtic. The Scottish Cup final is booked in on the calendar, 25th of May. We can get ready for that one. But next up, it is Dundee away, and we cannot be counting any chickens until anything is hatched. One game at a time for Celtic, and we're hoping next weekend we can keep, you know, scoring 3 goals over 120 minutes. Means this is the 6th game in a row across all competitions that we have scored 3 goals or more. It's a fantastic vein of form to be into, and I really hope to see this being a recurring theme throughout the split. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. On screen and now with some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Have a great weekend. Hail, hail.